The F-16 Fighting Falcon brings some insane dogfighting performance to War Thunder with the Apex Predators update. Let's check it out. This legendary aircraft was the ultimate expression of the efforts of the so-called fighter mafia, who wanted the United States to field a lightweight, high-powered, ultra-maneuverable dogfighter optimized for visual range combat. The F-16 has its roots in a U.S. Air Force study which began in the late 1960s, called the Lightweight Fighter Program, which was exactly what it sounds like, and evaluated prototypes of the YF-16 and YF-17 against each other with the goal of really just producing a lightweight, low-cost plane suitable for sustained dogfighting above really all other concerns. The YF-16 first flew in 1974 and was a radical departure from previous American fighter designs, while the YF-17 showed enormous potential, and it was eventually developed into the F-18 Hornet by the US Navy. The YF-16 more closely fit the Air Force's program requirements, which by this point had been renamed as the Air Combat Fighter Competition, and as a result, the YF-16 was selected for further development. Now, there was initially a lot of bureaucratic competition within the U.S. Defense Department, as the F-16's development was really seen as a threat to the procurement of the F-15 Eagle. But after some doctrine was refined to include both fighters, most of the opposition dropped off pretty quickly, and the F-16 program got back on track. The plane featured a long list of innovations, including its one-piece canopy and cockpit layout designed for maximum visibility in close combat, a reclined seat to make it physically easier for pilots to pull excessive Gs and tight turns, an advanced fly-by-wire computer system, combined with an aerodynamic principle of relaxed static stability, which makes the aircraft snap into maneuvers easier, a fuselage design that contributed more to the plane's overall lift than previous American fighters, and a side-stick cockpit layout designed around the HOTAS principle, hands-on throttle and stick, where important controls are mounted on the throttle and the flight stick, really so that the pilot doesn't have to go hunting around for buttons and switches during combat. The F-16 entered service with the United States in 1978 and almost immediately became an export success. It went on to be adopted by more than 24 air forces around the world and has seen extensive combat. This has led to a lot of different versions and subversions, usually referred to by their production block, being developed to include updated systems and weapons, trainer versions, one-off prototypes, requested changes for specific export customers, and even expanded ground attack capability. Despite being almost 50 years old as a design, the F-16 is still in service all over the world, and today remains the most widely used fixed-wing fighter on the planet. What we get in War Thunder are 5 versions of the F-16A, which are all incredibly similar, but with some notable differences that I'll discuss here. We get the American F-16A Block 10, the American F-16A ADF Block 15, the Italian F-16A ADF Block 15, the Republic of China F-16A MLU Block 20, and the Israeli F-16A NETS Block 10. These are all in rank 8 of their respective air trees, with a battle rating of 11.7. All 5 feature the AN/APG-66 radar set. This radar has multiple dish angles and range presets, ACM boresight mode, automatic lookup mode, and an all-aspect look-down mode. I'll have a video up soon going over the new radar modes added with Apex Predators, but the super short explanation for the F-16 is that the AN/APG-66 basically works like Pulse Doppler radar did before the update. The Chinese, Israeli, and American A-model jets get the full ballistics computer with the CCIP and the CCRP for its air-to-ground weapons, while the American and Italian ADF versions only get the CCIP for the cannon, which makes sense since they don't carry any air-to-ground weapons. Now, speaking of which, both of the ADF versions can carry slightly different combinations of air-to-air missiles and a centerline drop tank, and it's about time for that. The other three all get a selection of air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons that can be taken in different combinations, including bombs, rocket pods, missiles, and, again, the drop tank. For air-to-air weapons, the A model starts with the AIM-9J or AIM-9P depending on version. These missiles are identical other than the name, and use rear aspect infrared tracking and generally have pretty medium performance overall. The A model upgrades to, and the ADF starts with, the AIM-9L. This is the best performing version of the Sidewinder in the game as of the Apex Predators update, and features all aspect tracking, 30 Gs of pull, good range, and good speed. The vast majority of your air-to-air kills are going to be with this weapon. The ADV versions also get the AIM-7M. This is a semi-active radar homing missile with really good range, a strong warhead, 25 Gs of pull, and excellent flight speed. If you can maintain a radar lock, this weapon is very difficult to avoid, and they're particularly effective at head-on engagements. For air-to-ground weapons, the American A model can take the GBU-8 TV-guided bomb. This is a massive weapon with a huge blast radius, best used from somewhat of a vertical drop. All of the non-ADF models can take the AGM-65 Maverick. This is a TV-guided missile with great range that works reasonably well from horizontal or vertical attacks, but just be aware that its heat warhead might not one-shot targets depending on how it hits, like the angle in the specific location. The flight performance of the F-16A is excellent. All 5 versions are very similar, with the MLU and ADF models having slightly better turn performance than the regular A model. However, they have a slightly lower top speed and they climb slightly slower as well. In a practical sense though, you're not going to notice these differences in-game. Now, all 5 versions have the same engine in-game, even though the info I have says that that's not quite accurate. And overall, the speed and acceleration are just top-notch. You can punch through Mach 1 at low level, really without even noticing or trying, and then shoot up like crazy in a zoom climb. This gives you the performance to choose the altitude you want to engage at most of the time, and you can outrun, or catch up with, a lot of potential opponents. Now, the turn performance is something I've already seen some people complaining about, saying that it's far too crappy. Guys, just turn off the afterburner. Like the MiG-29 and other jets in this class that will eventually get into the game, the F-16A maneuvers best at high subsonic speed. So if you stay above Mach 1 or you keep yourself accelerating at the higher end of the power curve, you're going to lose a significant amount of turn performance. And given how fast this jet is, it's really easy to find yourself above Mach 1 when you enter into a fight without even realizing it on a conscious level. So just hit the brakes if you need to. I mean, by all means, stay fast, but when it's time for a dogfight, you gotta slow down a little bit and try to keep your airspeed in between about 500 and 800 kilometers an hour in order to get the best energy turns out of this plane. Now, don't worry. The strong engine power means that you can recover a low energy state really easily, and if you manage your speed, you can fight the MiG-29 on equal footing and outturn almost everything else in the game right now. And you do have to watch your speed, since this thing will accelerate even into 8 or 9G turns. Now, if you want to cheese the performance a little bit even further, you can select a lower fuel load along with the drop tank, so that once the drop tank detaches, you're lighter than you would be otherwise. Just keep an eye on the fuel though, because the afterburner is really thirsty. Taking the F-16A out into air battles can be pretty different depending on which version you're in. The ADF versions, with the AIM-7M radar missiles, offer a lot more flexibility in air battles, since you've got a credible BVR weapon that can take longer range shots at high altitude, and engage head-on targets from further away than you can with the AIM-9L. The combination of incredible dogfight performance and a good medium-range missile make the ADF version really versatile in air combat, even if it doesn't have any air-to-ground options. Now, you can choose to use the AIM-7's early as sort of like part of the opening salvo of BVR shots that seem to happen at the start of every air battles match. Or you can save them and use them opportunistically during the mid or late game. In my opinion, both tactics are valid. Now, flying the ADF as close air support kind of limits you to doing combat air patrol, but with its powerful weapons and good radar set, that's not really a bad mission. Just watch your fuel as you're loitering around the edge of the battlefield waiting for people to spawn into jets and helicopters. Now, the A models and the MLU, well, they lose the Sparrow, but they gain air-to-ground weapons. If you fly out for air combat, you're limited to just the AIM-9Ls, which really make this jet feel a lot like the Kafir or the J-7E, in that you might have to stay low and zigzag your way through all the BVR spam to get in close and use your weapons, since you can't really shoot back at medium range. But once you are in close, the 9L is a great dogfight missile, which combines with the F-16's good cannon and excellent maneuvering performance to threaten really anything you can get close to. Now, going high at the start of the match with these kind of feels like jousting without a lance, and the lack of any medium-range weapons can be a problem. The rank 8 meta is still developing, but for now, just stay low at the start of the match. The regular A models also have great multi-role potential, and can be used for ground pounding in air battles if you really want to. Using a small load of bombs along with the 9Ls can often give a really steady level of mission points per hour, which might prove kinda useful for grinding out stuff like the winter event. Now, the best tactic seems to be flying in like a low-level strike jet, creeping along at treetop level for the bombing run, then just trying to zoom into the furball as fast as you can after you hit the base. In close air support, well, access to TV-guided weapons, along with its incredible air combat performance, make the F-16A a really excellent addition to any top-tier tank lineup. As always, though, you're vulnerable to SPAA, so you probably want to side climb or back climb immediately after spawning in. The good news is, with this jet's climb performance, it won't take you long to get to a safe altitude. The GBUs on the American version hit incredibly hard, and can pop targets even on a miss. And you can take Mavericks, 6 of them, which make the F-16 better in close air support than a lot of dedicated strike jets, since you're going to have strong air-to-ground weapons while still being able to defend yourself against enemy fighters. Visually, the F-16A is a beautiful aircraft. The clean lines, uncluttered shape on the top half, and those tip winders look really great. Right now in the game, custom paint jobs are non-existent, but the War Thunder Live community has already delivered a huge number of great player-made paint jobs, so go check those out. One other detail is that since the default skins are all just flat gray with pretty small markings, if you like to decorate your plane with custom rondelles and insignia, it's really easy to make it look good on this jet. Landing the F-16 isn't too hard, but there are 2 caveats. First, the Viper has a really narrow undercarriage, so if you don't keep straight after touching down, it can list a bit and tip over sideways very easily, like landing a supersonic BF-109 or something, so just be aware of that. Also, no drag shoe, so the landing run is going to be really long. Lock up those brakes. The F-16 can safely drop gear and flaps a bit over 400 kilometers an hour. Now, the cockpit on the F-16 is a radical departure from other jets in the game, and really this was one of its most innovative features out in real life. The side stick layout leaves a lot of room between the pilot's legs for the radar scope, and the pilot is reclined back a bit in the seat. Now, the visibility is outstanding, and the radar warning receiver is in a good position, but the radar scope is way lower than I personally prefer, and a few of the other instruments are farther away than I like, and really they can be kind of difficult to read at a quick glance. Overall, the cockpit is amazing, and flying the F-16 in VR is a joy, even with my minor gripes. To close out on 5 versions of the F-16A. These jets have incredible dogfighting agility that is almost unmatched in one-on-one engagements. Oh, and they're crazy fast with surplus engine power. And they've got an excellent gun. The ADF version gets the AIM-7M, which is a great medium-range weapon, and all versions get the AIM-9L, which is the best Sidewinder in the game. The regular A versions get TV-guided air-to-ground weapons for some strong multi-role potential, plus the cockpit gives unmatched overall visibility. However, the F-16 chugs fuel really fast. It doesn't have a drag chute, and the lack of medium-range weapons might end up limiting the Block 10s over time. The final verdict on the F-16A family is that these jets offer absolutely amazing dogfighting potential and are very likely to remain competitive in air combat for an extremely long time. Absolutely worth the grind to get them, whichever nation is your main. As always, thanks for watching.